Welcome back, everybody. My name is Sean Teef.
And I'm Akhil Havaldar.
And we have some breaking news from Africa.
There's been an outbreak of a disease named Ebola in the western part of Africa. Ebola virus filoviridae is known to be one of the most deadliest diseases that causes fever, fatigue, muscle pain, headache, and sore throat. This is followed by diarrhea, vomiting, symptoms of impaired kidney and liver function, and in some cases causes both internal and external bleeding.
Now we will go to Niraj Patel, live from Africa with an Ebola patient.
Thank you, Sean. Here I am with the survivor of the Ebola disease, Mr. Doumbia. Hello, Mr. Doumbia.
Hello.
Can you please tell us how you contracted the disease and the other ways of how the disease can be contracted?
Well, there are two main ways that the disease can be spread, and it's through human contact and bodily fluids.
Okay. What were the social and global consequences of this disease?
Well, families really driven apart because we have people coming, left the country due to business, who can't come back, and we have people who lost their parents, kids lost their parents, more than 16,000 kids. Kids lost their homes because of this, and flights couldn't come into the country, flights couldn't leave the country, and it was just a big problem.
It's very depressing. On a domestic level, how much did the disease affect your country?
The disease really had an effect on almost every part of our lives because we couldn't really leave our homes because we don't want to get the disease, obviously. It's a very deadly disease, easily spread, so we can't leave our homes. We can't work, we can't go to school. Economy devastated due to it. Healthcare systems crashed, everything was bad. Roads were closed, and we just couldn't live our normal lives.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Mr. Doumbia. And here I am in an African country where death, disease, and hunger have struck. Just look at the awful landscape. Alright, and as we can see here, Africa has been struck with Ebola, and Ebola can, as we can see, it can turn a place that was once beautiful into something awful. Just look around. Look at all the dead trees here, the trash on the ground, and the grass that's poorly kept. So clearly we can see that Ebola turned this place into an awful landscape and an awful place to live. This is all the time that we have for today. Back to you, Sean.
Thanks, Niraj. Now on to the second story of the day, smallpox.
Smallpox is a disease that is very relatively similar to Ebola in the sense of how deadly it is. Some of the symptoms include high fever, head and body aches, a rash that progressively gets worse, and in some cases vomiting.
Now we will cut to an interview with Thomas Bay, who will be interviewing a smallpox survivor.
Hi, today I'm with Mr. Santos, a known smallpox survivor.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Santos. Can you please tell me how you first contracted this disease?
Yes, so the smallpox disease is mainly spread through direct contact with an infected individual, bodily fluids, or a contaminated object. Luckily, it's not airborne. I received the disease from an infected individual. Sadly, that person didn't make it.
I'm sorry to hear that. So, the Native American population decimated by 90% when the Europeans first came over. Do you think that smallpox contributed a lot to that disease?
Yes, that is a big reason why. It not only killed off Native Americans, but it also killed off the Aztecs in 1568.
Now, moving on to the next question. Now, we're talking a more recent year. Smallpox is responsible to 300 to 500 million deaths around the world. How would you describe a disease of this magnitude?
This is a big disease, and once it's introduced to an area, then most of that area will be decimated in a matter of time. In the early 1950s, 50 million cases of smallpox were reported each year until 1967, when 15 million people contracted it and 2 million people died.
Vaccines for this disease wasn't introduced until the late 1900s. Is that correct?
Yes, the vaccine was very helpful. Sadly, it wasn't around earlier to save more people.
That's all from Mr. Santos. Back to you, Q.
Okay, now that we've met our two patients, we're going to run through some similarities and differences between these two illnesses.
So Ebola is a virus and it is still around today in some places in the world, but smallpox was a disease and was eradicated a long time ago. Ebola is also mostly mainly located in Africa, and smallpox was a global pandemic. There is no proven treatment for Ebola, but for smallpox there's a vaccination. And Ebola only has 5 strains, while smallpox has 2 different virus variants.
Now, some similarities between the two illnesses. They are both transmitted through bodily fluids and human contact. Both cause fever, have skin rashes, both are very deadly, and can spread through travel.
According to the source John Winthrop describes life in Boston, we can tell smallpox was a ruthless and bone-crushing disease. Winthrop says, "For the natives, they are near all dead of the smallpox, so the Lord hath cleared our title to what we possess." We get a good picture of what people went through when this disease was spread. The natives were not spared by this ruthless disease.
Thanks for watching News Report with Akhil Havaldar and Sean Teef. Tune in tomorrow for some more breaking news.